Welcome to this explainer. Okay, I want you to picture this vivid scene for just a second. Imagine a woman sprinting through the crowded streets of an ancient city. She's holding a blazing torch in one hand and a heavy bucket of water in the other. Obviously, people are staring, right? They literally stop her in her tracks and ask, Rabia, where on earth are you going? It's such a striking visual. Well, today, we're exploring the incredible wisdom of that woman, Rabia al-Adawiyya. We're going to see how her answer to that question totally revolutionized how we understand our deepest human connections. We'll dive into why we so often feel completely empty despite having so much, and how shifting away from this idea of transactional love can entirely transform our modern lives. And her answer? Honestly, it was completely shocking. She looked at them and said, I want to burn down heaven and extinguish the fires of hell so that people will finally love God for God alone. Just think about the sheer weight of that intention for a moment. Most people, both historically and even today, they pray because they want something out of it. Money, success, health, maybe a better relationship. Or on the flip side, they pray because they're terrified of judgment, failure, or punishment. Rabia's brilliant insight completely shatters our deepest assumptions about doing things purely for a reward or out of fear. She was basically calling out the secret little bargain that we all make. So, this brings us to a really powerful question. What if love just isn't a transaction? What if true peace actually starts the moment all of our bargaining ends? And look, this concept goes way beyond religion. It strikes right at the core of our careers, our friendships, the way we parent, and our day-to-day happiness. Because if you really think about it, the greatest suffering in modern life comes from one hidden habit. We only love things for what they give us. And the second they stop giving, we stop loving. All right, let's dive right into this psychological trap of living conditionally. Modern psychology actually completely backs up what Rabia knew centuries ago. We get stuck in what experts call extrinsic motivation. Basically, that means we spend our lives chasing external rewards. But here's the catch. Every single reward creates a dependency. Pretty soon, you don't even enjoy the activity anymore. You just want the payoff. People will hit the gym until the results slow down, and then they just quit. Or they meditate until they don't feel perfectly zen, and then they stop. Once that external reward disappears, boom, the motivation completely collapses. It's kind of like charging your phone battery. You plug it into the wall because you fully expect energy in return, right? And that makes perfect sense for a phone. But imagine treating a human relationship like that. You only engage if it benefits you. You only talk to someone if they can offer you something in return. Modern society absolutely pushes us to do this. We literally call it networking or personal branding or building strategic relationships. The whole shebang becomes this cold calculation, a simple return on investment. But the ultimate irony here is that the more transactional we become with our relationships, the more utterly empty we feel inside. Your soul isn't nourished by transactions, it's nourished by real connection. So, who actually was this woman who saw through all this illusion? Well, Rabia al-Basri was born around 717 CE in Basra, which is in present-day Iraq. And let me tell you, her life was unimaginably difficult. She was born into crushing poverty, lost her parents at a very early age, went through the absolute horrors of slavery, and faced extreme, unimaginable hardship. These are circumstances that would easily break most people. Yet instead of becoming bitter and angry at the world, she discovered this profound, unconditional love. We're not talking about a romantic attachment here, but a deep, condition-free state of being. Her massive influence throughout history didn't come from money or being a queen or holding political power. It came entirely from her absolute inner freedom. To really grasp why her inner freedom is so vital for us today, we have to look at the illusion of when. You know exactly what I mean. I'll finally be happy when I get that promotion, when I get married, when I lose 10 pounds. The destination literally just keeps moving. Psychologists call this the hedonic treadmill. You achieve a goal, your brain adapts to the new normal, and then it immediately demands the next thing, and another, and another. We are constantly running, but we never actually arrive anywhere. We trap ourselves in this endless loop of suffering because we're forever waiting for the conditions of our lives to be absolutely perfect. It's literally like drinking salt water. The more you drink, the thirstier you become. And honestly, it's a hilarious but deeply sad truth about human nature. Think about it. We buy a bunch of books about living a simple life, and then we have to go buy a bigger bookshelf just to store them all. Or we download these meditation apps to finally find some peace, and then we end up getting totally stressed out by the push notifications reminding us to meditate. Our constant attempts to quench our thirst with achievements and stuff only create more stress. Robbie is basically asking us, can you find meaning before you achieve everything on your checklist? What's wild is how perfectly this ancient wisdom lines up with modern neuroscience. Your brain's reward system is heavily driven by dopamine, and dopamine is all about the pursuit. It says, get that thing, awesome, now go get the next thing. It constantly wants more, which leaves us with this chronic feeling of never having enough. The heart, on the other hand, represents presence and true connection. It's tied to deep, lasting well-being. The heart simply wants enough. The crazy thing is, most of us spend our entire lives listening strictly to the brain's endless demands. Rabia brilliantly teaches us how to wake up and activate the heart. To really bring this shift from the brain to the heart to life, Sufi teachers often use these incredibly powerful stories. There's this one beautiful metaphor about a group of moths that wanted to truly understand what fire was. It's a perfect illustration of the critical difference between just collecting data and actually experiencing a real transformation. So it goes like this. The first moth flies toward the flame, but it stays at a really safe distance. It just hovers there, observing, gathering data about the light. The second moth is a bit braver. It flies much closer to the flame. It can feel the intense heat. It brushes right up against the light. It gets a much stronger sense of what the fire actually is. But crucially, it still remains separate from it. But then comes the third moth. The third moth flies straight into the flame and literally becomes one with it. And the wise teacher telling the story points out that only the third moth truly understood the fire. Rabia was exactly like that third moth. She didn't just study love or read a bunch of theory about it or gather data. She completely embodied it. Most of us are so busy collecting information on how to be happy, but very few of us actually take the leap to experience that transformation ourselves. Okay, so how do we actually apply this in our crazy modern lives? Think about parenting for a second. So many parents unconsciously dish out love based on achievement, like getting good grades or behaving perfectly. But kids truly thrive when they feel loved unconditionally, completely regardless of their performance. The exact same thing applies to our careers. If your entire identity is wrapped up in your success, a single failure can absolutely destroy you. But when you work from a place of deep purpose rather than just feeding your ego, your resilience goes through the roof. Stripping away those conditions transforms our relationships from extractive to deeply appreciative. So, to help us break free from this transactional trap, let's walk through a super practical 5-step framework to move from transaction to real transformation. We're going to look at noticing your hidden bargains, practicing giving, replacing get with give, learning contentment, and loving the process. Let's break these down. Step 1 is all about noticing your hidden bargains. You just have to ask yourself, what am I secretly expecting here? When you do someone a favor or send a nice email or post a photo online, are you secretly craving their approval? Are you looking for validation or maybe even a little bit of control over them? Just pausing for a second to identify those sneaky hidden expectations is the absolute beginning of awareness. And awareness, that is the beginning of freedom. Moving on to step 2, practice giving without getting anything back right away. Try doing just one kind act every single day in absolute total secret. No posting it on your Instagram story, no casually mentioning it to your friends. Literally don't even expect a thank you from the person. What this does to your brain is incredible. It trains your mind to actually enjoy the feeling of contribution itself, totally detached from any external reward. Step 3 is a radical, and I mean radical, shift in your default mindset. You have to actively replace what can I get with what can I give. Imagine walking into a work meeting, a dinner party, or even just a conversation with your partner. If you walk in there thinking, what can I get out of this? You are running on transactions. But if you flip it to, what can I give to this moment? Wow, That single mental pivot is a total game changer. It has the power to radically transform your leadership, the way you parent, and honestly, the entire trajectory of your life. Step 4 is to learn contentment. Now, let me be super clear about this. True contentment is absolutely not laziness. It doesn't mean you just give up on your goals and sit on the couch forever. Contentment simply means you appreciate the present moment, right here and now, while you are simultaneously working to improve your future. You can fiercely pursue your personal and professional growth without being constantly at war with today.
And finally, step 5, you've got to love the process. Look, amateurs obsess over the results. They are completely fixated on crossing the finish line. True masters, though, they love the process itself. Because here is the raw truth. Results are always uncertain. Half the time they are totally out of our control anyway. But the process, showing up, putting in the effort, learning something new, that is available to you every single day.
All of this builds up to Rabia's absolute deepest and most powerful lesson. The highest form of love is freedom. It's not possession, it's not control, it's definitely not dependency. When you love someone, or when you just love life itself, without constantly trying to own it, manipulate it, or bargain with it, something truly remarkable happens. Your anxiety and fear decrease. Your true presence emerges. And suddenly, life stops feeling like this exhausting, endless race, and it begins to feel exactly like what it's supposed to be, a gift. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Imagine reaching the very end of your life, looking back and realizing that you spent decades just endlessly chasing rewards, approval, recognition, validation, only to discover that the stuff you truly wanted all along, connection, meaning, real presence, was already right there, available to you the whole time. What if the unconditional love you're constantly searching for is just hiding beneath all those strict conditions you've placed on your life? If you just dropped those conditions today, what would be left? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really encourage you to carry that question with you into the rest of your day.